another episode of the Dalton Grant Academy talk show. My name is Dalton Grant, a three-time Olympian, former board director of London 2012 Big Team. Each week, me and my guests explore the mindset, determination, and focus it takes to become an elite. Gain the insight to the world of sports, film, and more. Welcome to another episode of the Dalton Grant Academy talk show. Have I got a treat for you today? Yes, we have a rugby union player. She plays her team now is Saracens. She made her debut in 2017 for England, of course, against Canada. I'd like to welcome to the show, Hannah Botterman. Welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine.
Good.
Wow. Well, 2021 soon to be on us.
Yeah.
And how's things going with you?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, we're going, obviously in 2021, it's our World Cup. So it's a pretty busy year for us in terms of training for that. But yeah, we're quite lucky that our league's still going ahead. We're still playing sports, still playing rugby week in, week out, which is really good. I'm currently injured, so I'm not actually playing at the moment. I'm rehabbing. But yeah, pretty good to be fair for us. A bit more privileged than quite a few other people in Tier 4. Wow.
So how are you coping with your injury? So what part of your body is injured?
Yeah, so I had an operation on my ankle probably about 5-6 weeks ago now. So I'm coming into back into sort of running and stuff now. And I've got a pretty heavy January ahead sort of getting back into things. So yeah, just in the middle of it. So hoping to be back on the pitch in February. So hopefully it goes all well and there's no setback.
I mean, I've seen you, a few clips of you. I mean, you're quite an athlete because you remind me in sports term of a John Regis, which is a powerful person.
Yeah,
but you come around and you're quite fit. What is your training routine like?
Well, I mean, it's pretty obviously similar to I assume other rugby players. We're obviously in the gym probably 4 or 5 times a week, and then training another 4, and then we play a game. So I think I'm quite naturally gifted in the sense of my dad's given me my size, so I'm quite big. I'm big enough to play, which is probably what the side of my game that you've seen. So I shift that about a little bit, or as much.
So you driving through and making that try.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, try to use that as much as possible. So I thank my parents for that. But other than that, it's just staying in the gym as much as possible and lifting heavy weights, really.
Wow. So going back to your youth, who inspired you?
Well, I mean, we obviously get asked this question a fair amount. But for me, when I was younger, women's rugby wasn't visible.
No, it wasn't.
So I probably went to see one game or probably 1 or 2 games. I remember going to a World Cup final. But other than that, I didn't know any women's rugby players. My mum played, so I was in and around rugby, and obviously my dad played and stuff. So I was around it, but I didn't there was no sort of visibility for England players. I didn't necessarily have an England player that I said, this is who I want to be like.
Yes.
So
who did you put yourself off? Who did you what kind of style the way you played?
So I think it's more for me, obviously the men's game's a bit more visible. So for me, I like to put myself in sort of your Ellis Genge category or your Matthew Vunipola category, a mix of them sort of thing. But I don't really like to sort of compare myself to anyone. I quite like to, just play like I play sort of thing. But there's obviously similarities in how I play and how they play sort of thing. So yeah, I'd probably say that my game's probably based on how they play sort of thing.
Wow. It was really funny looking at going back, I did a little digging. You fell out of love with the sport.
Yeah.
And then you came back within 5 months, you're playing for England.
To be fair, I always say this. So my first cap was, it was off the back. In my position, there was a lot of injuries at England. So for me, my first and second cap, although obviously it was incredible to get them, I didn't feel like I'd earned it. So like going into my third cap, so basically what happened was, got called up for that my first and second cap. I was severely out of shape. Like I was heavy, but not like a good heavy. Like I was a big girl, and like was out of place there. Like was not in the right, probably not the right state of mind or physical like state to be playing. But because of those injuries, obviously was lucky enough to sort of get those first two caps. But then,
but you see the difference is you can't be a substitute and your next up call and said you were lucky. I mean, what I like is that you have a certain standard for yourself.
Yeah.
What shape you would like to be in.
Yeah.
But you know, you can't be lucky once you get called up. No, right. I don't think that's luck. Be modest, please. Don't be that modest.
Yeah, but anyway, it gave me a kick up my arse sort of from that and over that next year. So I got my third cap in the same autumn series, but a year after. And I was probably about like 10, 12 kilos lighter. So I lost a fair amount of weight and was in like better nick. And at that time, there was no injuries. So I got selected off.
Did you lose power?
No, I wouldn't say I'd lost power. I just every sort of lost probably 10 to 12 kilos of like bad weight and was in the gym a lot. So I'd actually probably put on a bit of muscle mass as well, which was quite good. But went into that autumn series like in a lot better shape. And off the back of it, sort of felt like I'd earned my place there because there was no injuries and I'd done it off the back of a decent season that I had before.
Well done, Anna. So what is your training routine like? Is it dynamic? Do you do circuits? Do you do back-to-back run-ins where you run, take a couple of seconds, turn around, run back?
Yeah. So it's like our different like gym routines is we go through stages of like where a certain block will be like strength block and then a certain block will be like a more of an endurance block, and they sort of flutter in between those two. So I think we're in a strength block at the moment. So well, for me anyway, because I'm injured, I'm trying to keep my strength and probably build a bit of endurance. So that's the sort of block that we're in at the moment. But running wise, we obviously have like for specific positions, different types of running programs. So like my one's a lot of like short repeatability stuff. So like speed over like 5 meters, because it's like that quick sort of
burst.
Yeah, that quick burst. Whereas like your wingers and stuff are probably doing more like 40-meter efforts, 50-meter efforts. So they're good. It's good in the sense that it's position specific. So like I'm a prop. I'm not doing the same as what someone that's probably 30 kilos lighter than me and is a bit quicker than me, sort of thing.
And I love that, because that's what I believe in. There's a lot of people who don't do sport specifics.
Yeah.
It's like a sprinter trying to train like a marathon runner.
Yeah,
yes, you're going to get endurance, but you're going to lose that speed. You
Yeah.
know, and it's about, like you say, off the marks, you know, and reacting.
Yeah.
So what's a weekly routine then? Like,
so Mondays is like a heavy gym day. So it's like probably a lowers day, and then probably some off-feet conditioning as well. So we do a lot of stuff on like watt bikes and ski ergs. And then Tuesday is like our main training day. So we'll have like a skill session during the day for anyone that can make it. So there's obviously 28 contracted England players. And Saris have around 6 or 7 of those girls. So 6 or 7 of us will 100% be there for skill sessions. And then anyone else that has a free day, we have quite a few students can pop along and train with us on those like skills sessions, because obviously the more people we get there, the better, because there's more stuff we can do. Then we'll have a gym session, go home, have probably some food or something, and then go to train in the evening, because obviously we're not all professional. So a lot of the girls still work and have normal lives in that aspect.
So what is that like then? What is that? Is that hard, like with the professional and the amateur? So how does that work together? Because obviously it's all
so we obviously train in the evening so everyone can get there. But obviously there's a dynamic of some of the girls are a lot fresher than the others, because some of the girls have been working from 6 o'clock in the morning, have got up extra early to go to the gym before, which is what a lot of the girls do. And then so some of them are fresher than others, but usually it's actually quite a good dynamic that we have there. I think the professionals have a lot of respect for for people that are going out and working, and the people that are going out and working understand that what we do isn't always easy. They probably would love to be in our position, but we don't have it all easy.
No, nothing is easy.
Nothing's easy.
For your team, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what about the World Cup? You said next year, 2021. So you're looking forward to where's it being held?
It's being held in New Zealand. So what they're obviously
a huge time difference.
Yeah.
So how are you going to acclimatize?
Well, I assume we haven't been sent that, but usually we would fly out probably a week or two before we actually play to acclimatise to it. And then once we're out there, I think it's a 3 or 4 week tournament, because there was some changes, I think, last year around the rest period that you get for player welfare around like the semis and the final. Because obviously a lot of the girls go into that final pretty battered after playing 5 or 6 games on the bounce. So I think they've changed how much rest you get in between those games. But yeah, probably fly out a week or 2 weeks before to get acclimatized, and then go from there.
Well, I done it earlier. So what I done, I'm going many years back. Born, but we had the Commonwealth Games in New Zealand in 1990, and I actually prepared 2 weeks before I left. I actually took my training to train in the night to get acclimatized and stretch. I got used to it in the night. So when we went to Australia, we had a few camps there, a few competitions, and then we went on to New Zealand, Auckland. Because you struggle to get around, because it depends on the person what you do. Because people to acclimatize, your body could be. Some people go straight in within a week before your body realize what's really happening. Or it takes a while.
You did it early.
Yeah. So that's great. So have you played in New Zealand before?
I haven't. I've never been over there or Australia actually. There was a summer series in San Diego last year, which was really cool. And we played the top 5 teams over there. So New Zealand were over there, France were over there, Canada and USA. So that was really cool. But yeah, never been over to New Zealand or Australia. So it'll be really cool to go over there. And obviously New Zealand are our fiercest rivals, so to speak. So it'll be difficult to beat them in their backyard, but hopefully we can.
But it can be done.
It can be done. It can be done. Definitely.
Yeah. Wow. That's be good. So what is your toughest, would you say, match or tournament today?
Yeah. So I've personally never been to a World Cup, but I think probably the girls would say that's obviously your toughest tournament. And we play France quite a bit. They're a pretty fierce rival to us. We've narrowly beat them a couple of times over the.
Are they physical, tactical?
They're quite a physical side. They're like a fairly big pack, but also their backs are fairly good, so they shift us about a bit. But it's always a close match against them. But obviously our main rivals will be New Zealand. Unfortunately, we don't get to play them probably as much as what we would like to, because of obviously the time zones and all sorts. So we don't get to obviously go over there too much. But there are definitely our fiercest rivals.
Yeah. I remember some of the islanders like Tonga.
They're massive.
The Maoris.
Massive. They're big. Like I thought I was big, and then I went over there and I was like, I'm not big.
Yeah.
So we played them in San Diego, and see them in the canteen, and you're like, you are massive. Like they're like 20 kilos, like huge. But that's their point of difference. Their forward pack is just insanely big. Like their props are nuts. So yeah, bit different.
That's quite intimidating though. How do you play? Because you're playing. Do you feel that? Do you obviously team play?
I wouldn't say I feel intimidated by them in that sense, but I have an appreciation for shifting that amount of weight around, because it's not easy. But yeah, I don't think I'd be very good if I was intimidated by them. I'm not intimidated by them, but I have an appreciation for what they do, and that they're very good at it. So.
I like that mental strength. I can see that. Yeah, you're going out, you little warrior. I see it in you. No, that's what you need to have. And definitely, I used to think that because I was a smaller high jumper. Yeah. I thought people had advantages, but I was kind of, even though I was quite tall, but I used a small man syndrome when I went. I went in that mindset. Yeah, and I always say that dynamite comes in small packages.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. So, school, how was education with your training? Or
no, so I I didn't do awfully in school. I went to just an average school where I lived. I didn't really, when we were younger, I wouldn't say there's not as many pathways. So like for the boys, they have like under 16s, under 18s, under 20s, like England teams. But for us, we only go into that sort of in under 20s. And obviously there's not really, like, obviously in the private school area for boys, they can go and they probably have like pretty full on training regimes from like 15 onwards. Whereas for us, it's a bit different. But I went to a college in Gloucester called Hartbury, which was really good for rugby at the time, and still is actually. But that was like a full on training and education. So we had like schedules. We'd be up at 6 o'clock and training. But unfortunately, at the time, that didn't really sit very well with me. I didn't do very well. So that's when I had that. I came home after that. And had like a year where I went to college near me and just didn't play rugby. Yes. I kind of fell out of, like you said, like fell out of love with it, because at the time I enjoyed it because I enjoyed playing, but I didn't enjoy what I had to do to play, if that makes sense. I didn't like the training aspect, the getting up early, or stuff like that. So
right, I was just going to ask you that. I was saying, because a lot of people, when you're talented, things come quite easy.
Yeah.
But when you go into the regime of what it takes to be successful, like waking up early, eating certain kind of foods, training, that's quite hard to deal with. I actually felt that very hard. I thought I was missing out with my friends until I realized, plus it was a sport that I didn't want to do. Everyone knows I wanted to be a football player. So I had to adapt and have that mindset, what it takes to do something that you're technically good at. Because people were saying you're good, but when you don't really understand, because you just do it naturally.
Yeah, because comes naturally.
When you tap into what you really know, that's what you need to do. My experience of not tapping into it, please tap into your ability. Because if you're playing at this level now, I mean, you can rewrite history. Yeah. So really find yourself, meditate, holistic, do the whole shebang, what it takes. It's what goes too easy is not easy, but you make it easy. Yeah. And appreciate that gift that you have.
Yeah, definitely. I had a coach that I used to laugh at him because it was the cringiest little quote that he used to use, but it was like, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, or something like that.
Yeah.
And that, to be fair, that stuck with me, because like for me, I would say like there's a couple of the girls in that setup that are just naturally good rugby players. Like it does just come natural. But if you don't, like you said, if you don't put, like, for so many years I didn't, and I just sort of brushed it off and was just like, well, yeah, I'm already decent. Like I don't necessarily need to do all the hard work at the other end of it. That and then I sort of had that switch after my first and second cap, and I was just like, I'm a state. Like, yes, I'm like playing. Yes, I like might get away with playing a couple of games at that level, but that the standard of that it's not sustainable. So you've got to do something, and that's when I started putting in the work at the other end, and actually started seeing some like changes and the benefits of it. And now it's obviously it's a mindset thing of staying as disciplined as possible on the other end of things.
Yeah, but that's what I love. Like being shy when I first went in. I went in my first Olympics in 1988. Yeah, I quite love going out there. Like the tension, the pressure.
Yeah.
You represent your country. Your hair's on your back. Like, bring it on, and you go through that kind of tunnel in the call-up room. I'm out. Yeah, I love it. I didn't at first. I was shy of it, but when you love it and you can get in that, that focus, that tunnel vision, and you're calling on yourself. Yeah, because a lot of people at that time, I've seen them. Well, a lot of people lose it.
Yeah,
coaches have to pull them back in, or sometimes your teammate have to give you a little shake and to get you on track. Yeah, but that's what's the beauty of it. Because once you start playing, you get into the role of things. Yeah, it's adrenaline. It's
definitely.
Yeah. So your aims then. So what would you like to achieve?
What, like life goals or life goals? Life goals. Blimey. Well, I'd like to in my career win a World Cup. Obviously, that's.
Are you doing the final touch?
Yeah, no,
you gotta go for it. Go for that glory, Anna. Don't be shy. Come
on. No, I'd like to win a World Cup. I'd like to play for England for as long as possible. like not just play, but be like an impactful player that is like.
That sounds like you're a bit of captain quality there.
No, definitely not a captain. I'm not. What's the word? I don't.
You don't know now. You're young.
I don't think I'm well behaved enough to be captain, but I don't. Definitely not well behaved enough to be captain. But no, and I think for me, I think that, like, bringing the game onto a place where it's not just like a niche market, that like actually that there's a time that women's rugby's on and people, whether like up and down the country, sit down and watch it together. Do you know what I mean? Like it becomes more like visible, more like more people watching it, and it being for the people younger than me, to coming through and knowing that you could do it as a job. I think it's insane, because for me, like, that was never an option, never, ever, ever. And then obviously they came in a couple of years ago for the contracts, and it was massive. Like people like 15, 16-year-old girls now can be like, well, actually, I might put a bit more effort in because this could be my job. And that's the difference. Like if I'd known when I was 16 that I could do it for a job and not have to have a regular job, I think my mindset would have been very different.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. So I think 100%. for girls now, it's massive. It's absolutely massive that they could have a job in sport and. I
mean, that's brilliant. It should. How do you feel about that, Eva? Because I mean, it's what you're saying. I think really it's about. I don't know if it's a marking. What do you feel?
I think it's game. For us, it's getting people watching it, and it's getting people to spend money to watch it. That's the thing, because at the end of the day, if you don't make money, like if the sport doesn't make any money, it can't invest back in. So obviously we're lucky with the RFU in the sense that the men make a lot of money. And for the last couple of years, we've obviously piggybacked off of that. But we're starting to now, like when we go down to like places like Exeter or Doncaster, we're filling out like 10, 12,000 seated stadiums and stuff like that, which is like miles away. Like even from like my first cap, so in 2 years, it's grown massively. So I think it's just getting people watching it and understanding that it's not going to be the same as the men's. It's not the same product as the men's. Oh, sorry. It's not the same product as the men's.
Don't worry. Is that a contract?
No, it's just my physio giving me a call. It's not the same. It's not the same product as the men's game. It is different. So I think that people always compare it to the men's game and are always like, well.
And that's the downfall. I think it's a strength. You should never compare. It's like, a team is all full of individuals. And I think once you sell that point, like the market in the right way, then it will take off clearly.
Most definitely, 100%. I think it's finding its own product, finding its own market, and then we've got to run with it. And I think the more people that come and watch, the more money that it creates, the bigger it gets, the more contracts that we can start giving out, because the women's is very different to the men. So the men are contracted by clubs. So obviously there's however many clubs that contract the men, and the men get paid through that. Whereas for us, our league isn't professional. So I think the next step for us is clubs contracting players, and clubs, even if it's 1 or 2 contracts that they're giving out to let's say they're not England players, but they're the next people in, but England aren't given more than 28 out. Well, actually,
where's the strongest league then? Would you say?
As in country-wise, or like
stronger in New Zealand, Australia?
Ours is a pretty good domestic league. It's definitely one of the top in the world, if not the top. But the New Zealand domestic league's a good one, and France have got a pretty good domestic league as well. But it's not a coincidence that the top 3 domestic leagues produce the top 3 teams in the world. Do you know what I mean? So it's all about getting like grassroots rugby in like Wales, and we have a lot of Welsh girls that come over into our domestic league and play there as well. But it's getting the lower teams like your Italy's and teams like that. Their domestic league needs to take off, and it needs to have like a competitive domestic league for them to breed better players, sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. So you're saying not behave well. Are you a prankster?
No.
Are you like me? I'm a prankster. And that's what I do. I used to always do that to these guys that like hide behind corners and scare them when they didn't know and see them scream and run and thought they'd seen a ghost.
Yeah.
So you do some pranks then. Come on, Anna.
No, I wouldn't say I'm a prankster, but I'm not. Sometimes I don't understand when I can be funny and when I can't be. Like sometimes it'll be dead serious situations and my mouth runs with me. But no, captaincy definitely not. But I'll bring a bit of laughter and a bit of like happiness to a room, sort of thing. So that's probably my job role. But no, the more serious people
if it works for you, if it makes you feel comfortable, it's like a lot of people when Usain Bolt first come on the scene, they thought he was messing around, but that was a way that he felt comfortable. Yeah. And then when it comes to the performance and the time he run, you can't knock him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whatever works for you, isn't it? It's a personal thing. As long as it doesn't. My issue is that sometimes I can affect other players around me. So it's that's the little issue that I have in because I've got quite a good switching. Like I could be messing around 1 minute, but then when I need to be switched on, I'll switch on. Whereas what happens is I take other people on the messing around, but they don't have the same switch as me, so they take a little bit longer to get back into things. So
wow. It's very interesting that you said that. That was like me in sport. Sometimes it's very hard because could you imagine so many different events in athletics, for instance? So you had different psyches, and a lot of people couldn't handle that. So when you had a lot of people like, up for it, you'd got to know how to navigate yourself around.
Yeah.
And that's the way, that's part of life. I mean, over the time, you really knew people. When you knew people very well, you didn't really take it on board and take it that serious, where someone on the outside looking at me, oh, that's really bad. But once you knew them at that stage. Yeah. So I think it's generally really getting to know one another as a team, really. Yeah. Know what you're about.
And for us, it's massive. Like there's well, it'll be like a 35-man squad going to. So that's 35 different people, 35 different personalities, isn't it? So
that's right.
It's understand like, and we do a lot of like psychology stuff in like understanding each other and like how we work as people. So knowing how certain people will react to certain things, or who you can take the mick out of with sort of 5 minutes before a game, and who doesn't enjoy that sort of thing. So it's just about knowing the people and knowing your players and the coaches knowing that as well. I think that's pretty vital. But if you know how people react to things, or what people enjoy, what people don't enjoy, then you can cater yourself around that.
That's what I did, because when I went to majors, there's certain of my friends, what I call teammates, could not share a room with me because I knew what they were like. In a domestic meet, not a problem. We come to the majors when the pressure was on my back. Yeah, I was not taking prisoners because I always say when I dreamed of that victory and standing on the podium. I didn't even see who was coaching me. Yeah. So I use anything that can help me and elevate me to where I wanted to go and use that energy. Yeah. Well done. So if you had a magic wand, okay, a magic wand, we're waving it there, and I'll give you 3 wishes. Let me know what your 3 wishes will be.
Can't use the wish that I have as many wishes as possible. That's a good one.
That's a brilliant one.
That is a clever one, huh?
Yeah.
But, wishes: win a World Cup, win this World Cup in New Zealand, because that'd be good. Yeah. Get back playing would be another wish. If I could click my fingers and be back playing now, I'd be back playing now. Health and wealth, third one.
Love that.
Yeah. This year I need it as much as possible, because the worst thing would be having an injury before a World Cup or anything like that. So keep me healthy, keep me wealthy, and then we'll go over there.
And bring it home. Bring it home. Yeah. I'd like to say to you, thank you and for your insight to sports and on your successful career so far. I'm sure that you will be back very soon. You know, you can answer I don't know, hold you up because your physio's trying to get hold of you. Yeah. So I'd like to say, Hannah Botterman, thank you and good luck.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.